Black action films have played a crucial part in the history of cinema. Think Set It Off or something like Training Day. But it feels like we don't see them as often as we should. So the question is Black Heat the next classic? With the film hitting theaters March 28th of 2025, we're talking inspiration, we're talking chemistry, and the importance of Black-led action films, and what this story means for today's audiences. What's good, guys? It's Alissa. If you're new here, hello. First things first, y'all know I gotta get the formalities out of the way. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky. All that information is in my description box down below. Be sure to subscribe to my other channels. I have a lifestyle channel and a Sims channel. I have a new series going on my Sims channel that you should definitely check out. Just wanted to get the promo out really quick because today we are talking Black Heat, an action-packed thriller that brings intensity, heart, and some heat to the big screen. I had the chance to sit down with the film's director, producer, and writer to break it all down. We are talking Black Heat today with the director, writer, and producer of the film, Wes Miller. Hello.
Hey, thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So Black Heat, we're talking films today, is a movie that stars Tabatha Dreamdoll Robinson and Jason Mitchell. They are two parents out of options, set out to infiltrate a top-level drug dealer and pimp who is played by NLE Choppa, and they are on a mission to rescue their 15-year-old daughter. First of all, Black Heat will be in theaters March 28th of 2025. Sorry about that. So definitely go check it out. I've already recommended it to all my siblings.
Oh, sweet.
But yes, it is very good to have you. I know you guys are fresh off of the premiere, so I wanted to ask, how are you feeling right now?
Feeling really encouraged. It's always a very nerve-wracking thing when you let your baby into the world. You no longer have any control. Whatever happens, happens. And
right.
It's no longer yours, but to be able to share it with an audience that you designed the movie for and had in mind when it was created, and to see them respond to the characters and the thematic underlying pieces of the material is really exciting, and just a big reassurance as to why I became a filmmaker.
That is great to hear. I actually saw the trailer for this on Dreamdoll's Instagram. I follow her, and me and my siblings were talking about it. So when I got this opportunity, they were like, that is crazy. So I'm so glad that I was able to see it. I loved it. So I do have a few questions about the movie for you. I'm always intrigued, like with music, how, people come up with the names of their songs, and then you watch the movie and it's like, how did they come up with this? So what was the inspiration behind naming this movie Black Heat?
So for me, I want to have something that represents something of the past. There was a film in 1972 that was called Black Heat. And, so that was one. And then two, it's set in the summer, somewhere in the South, anywhere USA, because this can happen, but you see people sweating. And, it just kind of represents the heat of what's happening in the situation of this Black family, this fractured Black family. And so, want something catchy, entertaining, but that also captures part of the thematic material that will be, underlying the genre piece.
I love it. This was definitely an action-packed movie. It really reminded me of I used to stay in Los Angeles growing up, and my uncle would always have some movie playing in the background that was like super action-packed. And I remember him playing like New Jack City, which has like a dark vibe, or like American History X, which is like really crazy. And this movie definitely gave me one of those vibes where I was like, this is like one of those where, like, if I was to go to my uncle's house, this would be playing in the background, because it's kind of like you sit around with your family and watching. It's like, whoa, and you guys can all react to it together. So I just wanted to know what your inspiration was behind this movie itself.
So that's two pieces. So I think the first one you're really touching on, which is exciting, because for me, I'm going back to the 90s. I'm looking at the 70s when African-American led movies were visceral. They were raw, they were real. They weren't watered down by, studio involvement. And they weren't made by people who didn't understand the culture. I think a lot of that kind of got lost late 90s, early 2000s. And then even with the resurgence of the industry itself, being able to get your piece out to the audience directly. And I just know from my friends, from my son's friends, like there is a hunger for good thriller, good action
Yes.
movies in our community. So that was one, is to like, let's tap into what has always been at our heart, and I don't know if you know, but like back in the 70s, the quote unquote black exploitation movies were responsible for saving several studios back then.
Wow, I didn't.
Yeah, so like we know that there's a hunger there for this audience. So that was one. And then two, like for me, I can give you something entertaining, but like, is that the only reason I'm put on the earth for? And I don't
Right.
believe so. So like I always want to have real issues that real people face inside of these action pieces. So a lot of great action, but real themes that touch real people, that maybe make them walk away, with a new thought, or maybe even help them down the road a little bit. So for
Right.
instance, yeah, there's that monologue that Riri gives, and where she dissects what's happening with Tiana. If one person later has a child and they start seeing some of these quote unquote tactics take place and it helps, that's one person that, the movie touched that wouldn't have been touched.
Exactly. And I really do love that part of the movie, and I'll definitely get into that when we talk about the cast. But with you saying that is something that people can relate to, I did notice while watching it, the setting of this movie is not super huge, where they're going here and they're going there. It's literally in that apartment complex. And I wanted to know if you had the idea to have it in this small setting first and then build up on the characters, or if you kind of had the idea for the characters and then decided to just have it in this smaller setting after the fact.
I don't know the answer to that. I think like they probably came really close in succession.
Right.
For me, there it could have possibly been like, I actually, as I'm thinking about it, no, I knew I wanted to have two parents who had to rescue their daughter. And the question would be where, and then there's a practical realization with that, and also a
Right.
story realization. Practically, when you don't have studio budgets, you have to be very specific about where you shoot and how you shoot. And we shot at night, so I
Hmm.
didn't want to be putting the crew through company moves.
Right.
That was A. And then B, again, for the heat, like where's something where it's hot. Like when you
Yeah.
come into the place, you're hot. Like when the trigger hits, boom, like they're coming.
And that part of the movie had me on the edge of my seat because it was one part where he walked out of the door. I'm not gonna give too much away. And I was like, where is he? Where is he gonna go? I was really like, okay, like he walks out of this door and it's warm when he leaves this door. I don't know where
That
he's and that's pretty
yeah.
much, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let's get into the cast. Jason Mitchell, who you worked with before,
Hmm.
plays Malik, and then we have Tabatha Dreamdoll Robinson, who plays Alexis, and she has more romance genre experience in movies. And then we have NLE Choppa, who plays King David, and to myself, I thought it was funny that there was like King David and then Tiana. I kept calling her Princess Tiana when I was watching
Okay. Yeah,
it.
that's all right.
But this was his debut acting role. And I was watching something of his that said that you actually reached out to him for this role. So I wanted to know what gravitated you towards this main cast, because they had great chemistry. It was a great ensemble cast, and just everyone talking to each other, even if they had like bad blood. I was like, why does it seem like everybody just like has history, like really, really?
Yeah.
And I love that. So I just wanted to know what gravitated you towards this main ensemble cast?
Yeah, so I'll start with Jason. I worked with him on Call Her King, and he did a wonderful job in a very nuanced role that didn't require a lot of external expressions. But chatting with him, we became friends, and such a sweetheart of a guy. And at that time, I knew, I was like, you know what? I'm going to write a piece for you. Like, we're going to write something. We're going to do it. Something that show that where you're in your bag, where you're able to show all your range. And so like that was like I knew I was going to write something for him before the idea came. And to me, he's literally one of the greatest working young actors, African American or Caucasian, but definitely African American. But I would put him up there like his skill, his vulnerability, his accessibility, his ability to relate to the character and communicate is like second to none.
Yes.
So I started with him. That I needed to pair him with somebody who you believe would be a mother without giving too much away, that could be in the situation that she's in, making certain choices that she made. And I actually auditioned Dreamdoll. And yeah, so she auditioned, and based off that audition, her acting coach is also Naturi Naughton's acting coach.
Wow. Yeah.
So Wendy McKenzie, and like we're friends. And so when it's like, hey Wendy, Dream is, she's like, yeah, I know, she recorded it here with me. I'm like, oh, okay. So, and that happened because her agent at WME recommended her. Like, one thing we have to do with these films is we are 100% making sure that they have an audience. So it's always great to have a cast with an audience, but that's not the key factor, because if they can't bring it, like they won't be working with us. Yeah. And with Choppa, I went to school with his mother, and
you guys are from the same stomping ground, pretty much.
From Memphis. Yeah, from Memphis 10. And so what happened is I just reached out to her. I was like, hey, would he be interested in acting? She was like, I think so. Send me the script. I sent the script, and then I started looking at a lot of his interviews and his music videos. And I just had a really strong gut feeling that this is the guy who could bring King David to life. And a lot of casting is just relying on your gut, your impression. And so I didn't audition him. I, talked to him. I made sure, he wasn't a jerk, and he was hungry.
And he delivered. And for a debut role to be something like King David, this isn't his breakout role or his debut role, but Heath Ledger, like doing the Joker, where it's like, can I play the bad guy? Because it's like, it's easy to just, put on some charm and be the good guy, but like to actually be a convincing, like, the opposition. It's like, you really have to convince people to really not like you, but also just like Malik and Alexis had conviction. They were both like thinking that they were right in their plight, in their fight. So it's like, you got to really convince either side to be like, I'm coming out on top, and my 100%. Reason is the reason why I need to come out on top. But I really did love the character Riri, who was played by Siobhan Amizial.
Yeah.
That part was, I literally had to stop. One, she was gorgeous. So when she came on the screen, I was like, who is this beautiful woman on my screen? Yes. But then she completely delivered that monologue scene without, of course, giving too much. And I was completely captivated by her, who you worked with previously for Call Her King. So I wanted to know if that scene that we saw in the final was actually a one take, or was that something that you guys had to do over and over? Because that was amazing.
So I did work with her, Call Her King. Same thing. What I'm finding is, when I like to work with somebody, when we have fun and you're talented, we will work together again. And so when we were casting for that, I did not know if she was 100% right, because she's a very strong woman.
Yes.
And this character needed a flaw and a crack in her armor that I hadn't seen Siobhan give. So I actually made a read for it. Wow. And she killed it. And so when on the day, we probably did like 2 or 3 takes, and the take that's in the movie, that's one take. We don't chop up her performance.
Wow. Yeah, I can I just knew it. I was like, this is one go.
That was it. Yeah. Once she, as a director, you have to stay present and pay attention to your cast. And I saw her and Choppa had a conversation, and a few minutes later, I just saw it on her face. Like, are you ready? She was like, I'm ready. And like in 30 seconds, cameras are up, we were rolling, and a couple of cameras on her, and that take is amazing. Like, I
love that. Yes. Yeah. And so her scene partner in that part of the movie was Tala Barbarouz. And is this her debut role? Has she? Wow, she did absolutely amazing, especially for such a hardcore movie like this, to really delve into that. That is great. I love, she did amazingly. So how was it working with her for her debut role as well?
Yeah, it was great. She's a great actress. And, we just filmed another movie together.
Nice.
Again, like,
Yeah.
yeah, we keep it in the family, but
Hmm.
like she's a star.
Yes.
She's a star. Like her star will rise. She's super talented. I know the industry is really fractured right now, so I don't know how many opportunities she's going to get, but every time she gets one, she's going to kill it. She did read for the role, and out of everybody that read for Tiana, there were probably like a top three. There was her, and there was everybody else. And so, she told the story last night because she when I say she reads fast, she'll get through the script, she'll have notes, she'll have questions like within a couple of
Professional.
hours, like super. And so she was like ready for our callback meeting. It lasts like 30 minutes. And then she was like, "Oh, is that it? Like, you don't want to read?" I was like, "No, I just want to make sure you want a diva." She was like, "I was like, you got it." She was like, "Oh, you know."
Yeah.
Um,
I know she
um,
was so excited for that. That is absolutely amazing. So
yeah.
I wanted to talk about the action in this movie really quick because I did expect this to be an action movie, but with the setting being so confined, you're just on the edge of your seat and everything was so realistic. And I'm not too much for like violence and gruesomeness, but this I could handle, and I was completely captivated by what was going on. I just loved the choreographing of the fighting scenes and everything. And I wanted to know, was everyone doing their own stunts or most of it or some of it?
Yeah, mostly all.
Mm,
Like Jason and Bryson Choppa, they were doing
yeah.
their own stunts. Dream was doing most of her own stunts. The henchmen, most of them were doing most of their own
I was
stunts.
really like, they made a joke about that in the movie. I won't give it away too much, but I was just like, where is he finding all of these
Yeah,
big people? Like, I was
yeah,
just, when he walked out of that door, I'm telling you, I was like, it's just one after the next. Like, they're
yeah,
getting bigger and bigger, and I would not be ready to be doing hand-to-hand combat. I was literally, they were dropping the weapons. I was like, wait, wait, I
yeah,
don't know if I'm ready to, I don't know if I would be ready to do this, but to protect your daughter, to save the ones that you love, that
yeah.
was that was the driving force for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of those guys are like pro wrestlers. So we have like a guy, Trick Williams. He wrestles with the WWE. Another
Wow.
guy was EJ Naduka. He wrestles with AEW. Then we have Big Tito Lincoln. He wrestles with Reality of Wrestling. So we had some
That's where they
big,
came
big
from.
dudes. Like
Yeah.
they were
It's all
bringing it.
making sense for
Yeah,
sure. All
yeah.
right, I appreciate your time here today. I've pretty much asked all that I needed to ask, but I did want to just reiterate, what would you want the audience to take away from watching this movie? Because I did see this, sorry, this is definitely a movie about family, and personally what I took away from it, I'm a big family person. Like I said, I immediately told my siblings about this, and I took away community more so, especially with the resolution of the movie. I took away the importance of community and, those people that are just there for you, whether it's the people that you're blood with or not, but just being there for each other when that time comes when you need it, or just the little moments. And I feel like that's what Tiana needed, was the little moments, and without giving too much. But
Yeah.
yeah, so what would you like the audience to take away from watching this film?
I think at this point it's theirs. And so my one word would be something. I would just hope they take something away. And I wouldn't want to narrow that definition by pre-imposing any of what I took away from it when I
Right.
watch it, because I've taken a few different things. And a lot of times what we intend as an artist isn't what's always received as an audience.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing. It's just the world of cinema, the world of characters, and the world of emotions is so vast that there's no way that I could anticipate every reaction to it. But I think I would be a failure if you walk away, you don't feel anything. Be like, oh,
Yeah.
that was cool. See you later. Like,
Not like, Back to the drawing board.
Right.
I can definitely feel the personal touch in the script. I noticed that your own daughter was in this movie in the flashbacks. And
Yeah.
when I seen it, I was like, this little baby looks like my niece. Like I literally seen my own youngins in her. And I was just like, oh, that is so beautiful. And just actually showing those moments between, father and daughter, I thought was really important as well, especially with all that we had seen leading up to the moment with, them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we felt it was important to connect because we're in such a confined space and we have such confined time, but to connect that they had a relationship before whatever happened to Malik happened to Malik, and that what he was fighting for was maybe not the person that we saw right there, that person he never let go of when she was like 4 or 5 years old.
Exactly.
And so like if that to me, when I see that and feel that, I'm like, yeah, like that's what he was fighting for.
Yeah, it hits every single time. So I do want to ask that I do want to say Black Heat is hitting theaters on the 28th. So anything that you want to plug, what's next for you?
We actually just shot a movie called Mercy, Mercy Me that may or may not be part of this Black Heat universe.
Oh wow,
Um,
universe.
yeah, and as a prequel, we also did a courtroom drama with Leon and Elise Neal and Takaya Washington, and we just did another project called A Bloody Night with Leon and Don Halfkenny and
Ooh,
Jack Wright. Yeah, we've again, the industry's like kind of stalemated now, so we were able to like put a few things together and keep the crew working and to continue to build and hopefully give theatrical experiences to our audience.
Right. Would you be ever interested in doing anything in the TV realm, like a series?
Yeah, we're
Ah,
working on some. Yeah, we're working on
I
some.
love to hear
It's
that.
too early right now. It's too early.
Got you.
Yeah,
Got you. I know that's a big thing.
yeah.
And are there any genres that you would be interested on doing that's not necessarily something that you've done before?
I'm open to almost any genre. To me, it's really about the characters, you know.
Yes.
So like, if it's a comedy, I'd have to get a good actor who's funny, and help lean in with them. Rom-com, I would probably do one. We are gonna do like a love story drama. I don't think that's a genre, that's more general, but yeah,
I
I'm
get
open
it.
to any genre.
That is amazing to hear. And I love that. I was gonna say too, with just what was his name? Kelvin in the movie. Kelvin and King David's characters. To me it felt like when they came on screen together and we kind of see that history between the two of like, the old times and the new times. I could see that clash, and I was like, it feels like I know so much about their history without us even like seeing it ourselves. I was like, that could be a series. I was really like,
Yeah,
I want to see more. Like, what is the history between them? I'm curious. So that's why I asked, because I was like, it feels like I've known these characters, and I
yeah,
was like, that could definitely be extended. So it's good to hear that you are building the BHU, the Black
yeah. I love it.
universe. But I appreciate you speaking with me today, Wes.
All right, thank
And
you.
and I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I'm excited for the premiere of this movie.
All right, you too, and thanks for taking the time to chat with me.
All right,
All right,
bye-bye.
nice to meet you.
Black Heat not only delivers some high stakes action, but it also brings emotional depth and a powerful message about family, loyalty, and survival. With a standout cast and intense storytelling, I have no doubt that this movie will make a lasting impact. I want to thank Wes Miller so much for sitting down to talk with me about this movie, and I encourage you all to see this movie when it comes out. And if you've already seen the movie, of course, let me know your comments down below. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you would like to keep up with me outside of YouTube, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky. All that information is in the description box down below. I also have 2 other channels that you can subscribe to. I have a lifestyle channel and a Sims channel if you're into that kind of thing. And if you made it to the end of this video, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you click the notification bell to stay up to date with posts and uploads from me. But for now, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.